All right, so I think it's going to be helpful for me to define a couple of key terms for you. I know a lot of times people tell me like, "Oh, I got a report every week, but I don't really know what it means," or sometimes people are scared to ask. So I'm going to go ahead and go over some very basic key terms. It's very easy to understand. Don't get intimidated, and it's going to be helpful for. It's going to be helpful. I'm thinking it's necessary for you to understand how these numbers work for you to really optimize your advertising. Okay, so the first one is going to be impression, right? So if I'm searching on Google for something and then I see an ad. Let's say, for example, I search on Google, I see an ad here. Once I see that ad, that counts as an impression. So anytime that someone sees your ad, that's an impression. Okay. So impression is basically going to be how many times someone saw your ad. And if I click on the ad, that's going to be a click. So there could be a scenario where I see the ad, but I don't click on it, right? If I click on it and go to the website, then that's a click. Okay. Pretty straightforward, right? So impressions and clicks. Impressions when I see the ad, click is when I click on the ad. And then conversions we covered in the last video, that's basically when someone gives you a phone call or they leave their information for you. Basically, whenever a lead is created is what a conversion is. Okay. So now let's get to the next couple ones. So CTR, that's a pretty common one. It stands for click-through rate. That is basically the percentage of time someone that sees your ad that someone actually clicks on it, right? So for example, I can come here, I can see the ad, I don't click on it, and that counts as one, right? If 100 people see this ad and 5 people click on it, your click-through rate is 5 over 100, which is 5%. All right. So basically, click-through rate tells you how good your ad is or how enticing it is for someone to want to click on it, right? So if you have a low CTR, then your ad is probably not written correctly, right? If you have high CTR, that means your ad probably is written correctly. Okay. If you have a low conversion metric from the click, then that probably means your whatever is on your website is not positioned or not explained correctly, right? So you can kind of see it's a funnel. So you can, based on these metrics, you can see where you need to improve. All right. So next of all, the next definition is just cost, right? So total cost, how much you spent on ads, right? And then other tier terms are probably here is CPC. That stands for cost per click. So every time remember in the last video I talked about every time the bidding happens, you're bidding on a keyword and they click on it, you bid on that click, right? It could be $4, could be $5, could be $10, depending on where you are. It's auction, right? So the cost per click is how much you pay for that click. And then over the course of the month, it would take all the costs you spend divided by the number of clicks you got, and you have an average CPC. And that's basically what CPC is. CPA, I don't know why they call it CPA, probably because cost per conversion would be different, but that's basically cost per acquisition. That'd be cost per conversion, right? So you basically divide the cost by number of acquisitions or conversions. Cost per click is just the number of ads divided by number of clicks. Okay. General terms you might hear is pay per click. So they call it Google Ads is typically PPC, pay per click. That's a term people throw out there. And I covered these ones earlier, but these are very broad terms. Whenever you hear someone say SEM, that just stands for search engine marketing, right? So anytime you're spending money on Google or search engine, most likely Google, it's called search engine marketing, right? And then there's SEO, which is search engine optimization, which is not Google Ads. It's basically trying to make your website better to get seen organically, right? There's a number of ways you can do that. It takes longer to do, but obviously it pays off in the long term, but takes a really long time. And that's search engine optimization. So just so when people say these terms, I want you to be comfortable with what they're saying. You don't have to ask them. Just memorize these. It's very easy to understand, and I hope this helps.